Ah, there you are. Splendid. Well, good evening to you, my beautiful little perfectly white bottoms. And it's a great pleasure to welcome you to Thursday. God, it's Thursday. Where has the week gone, my lovelies? Where has it gone? A very warm welcome to Thursday Night Live with me, Boaty. And I will be coming into your eyes and your ears for the next 59 minutes and counting, direct from Windy Bottom here in the glorious Peak District National Park, where it's been insufferably hot yet again. And, let's just remember that we're complaining about the heat in a couple of weeks' time, when we're complaining about there being 8 foot of snow outside and the heating bills costing the national debt of Korea. Now, forgive me being in something of a rush tonight. I got in through the door with, oh gosh, minutes to spare. I had to go and have a wee. I had to bring the stuff in from the car. All of the normal sort of thing. You're a bit low, aren't you? You are a bit low. Would you like to go up a little bit, or are you kind of happy where you are? Because it's all about your comfort, darlings. That's what this is all about. It's all about you. My live streams are a you-centric organization thing. So if you would like to go up a bit, if you would like a bit more wall and a bit less table, you just tell me, and I will make it happen for you. Excuse me while I have a slurp of wine. I really need this. The restaurant may not surprise you to learn, the restaurant was unexpectedly busy tonight. And that kitchen was like a torture chamber. Dear God, oh, dear me. What? So I'm really going to enjoy this. I've not had a chance to pop the wine in the freezer, so traffic in the history of the world. I had to nip to the garage because I forgot to buy bread again. I forgot to buy bread last night, and that meant I didn't have any toast this morning. And that meant that I was in a jolly bad mood because I enjoy a slice of toast in the morning. I mean, you know what my breakfast consists of. A little bit of really good apple juice, a strong black coffee, a cigarette, and a slingle, a tricky chap's words, aren't they? A single slice of toast with about 2 slices of toast worth of butter on there. And if I don't get that, I get a bit grumpy. And I was a bit grumpy this morning. I was hot, I had no toast, and then to make matters worse, I forgot to buy bread again tonight because the restaurant was so busy. Didn't get a chance to do one of my cheeky little nips to Sainsbury's. Thank God I'm well stocked with wine, otherwise we would be talking about a national disaster. So running late anyway, and then I had to stop at the bloody garage, didn't I? To make sure that I had some bread. But I do have some bread and some quite nice tiger bread, which kind of, in my mind, shouldn't be a thing, but it's quite pleasant. So, that'll be very welcome in the morning. Some thickly sliced tiger bread with, do you remember the old days when you used to have to slice your own bread? Somebody asked this question in singles. They said, do you ever wonder what was the best thing before sliced bread? And it was probably unsliced bread. And I've got a really good tip if you ever want to make really posh, thin boudoir sandwiches. The sort of thing that the Victorian elite would make for afternoon tea. And it's the most incredibly thinly sliced bread that you've ever seen. And the trick is, you must use brown bread, obviously, that's a given. But never use fresh bread. Always use bread that's about a day old. Then take your bread knife, run it under the hot tap until it's good and hot. Just shake off the water, then slice the bread, and you'll be able to achieve a thinner slice than you ever dreamed possible. You're welcome. Right, that's enough about me. Let's talk about you. And obviously, let's keep last night going for a start. Last night, the most hilarious live stream that I ever remember doing. And we've done a few now. I don't know how many live streams I've done, but it must be about 300, something like that. And I think last night, I don't know if you would agree, but I think last night was pretty much peak live stream. I can't see us topping that one in a hurry, but, who knows? But let's keep the wrestling team going and give our favourite YouTubers fighting names, and I see that there's one here, which I will come to very shortly. Obviously, I want to know what you've been eating. Naturally, that's a given. And I want to know if anything has nearly but not quite fallen on your head, and any other news that you care to tell me. Have you had a brush with a famous today? Love to hear about that. So who have I got? Steve Cole, good evening to you. And then we come to somebody who's changed his name to his Neil Gibbons, aka the Gibbonator. And the Gibbonator featured very heavily in last night's fantasy fighting talks. I mean, somebody wanted me to get, for those who weren't here last night, we decided that that basically we should, our YouTube community, our extended YouTube family, should jump on the bandwagon of what's his name, Jake Paul and that lot. What's the other guy? Oh, I honestly can't remember. Some silly name. It's not his real name anyway. His real name is probably Nigel Smith, but he calls it. What does he call himself? The guy who fought the other guy that I've just mentioned, whose name I now can't remember. K something. I don't know. We'll call him Nigel. But we decided that we should jump on that bandwagon. And the obvious first fight was going to be Skick versus Stick, for very obvious reasons. But then we kind of expanded it out a bit, and we came up with what we thought would be good selling bouts, because this is all going to be about raising a lot of money for me, for good causes, charities probably. Not me at all. And somebody wanted me to get in the ring with the Gibbonator, and that's not happening. Have you seen him? All right, I'm taller than him by 2 inches, and I've probably got a longer reach, but his bicep is bigger than my body, for Christ's sake. I mean, you know, he would kill me very quickly. Plus, he's got youth on his side. He's only about 11. God, I mean, he likes me. Neil actually likes me, and he gave me a hug, and the hug almost killed me. You wouldn't want to be hugged by the Gibbonator and have brittle bones, I can tell you that. The Gibbonator. And then it all started getting a bit silly last night. And the most memorable thing is that our friend, the lovely Mr. Joseph Lloyd of Lloyd Vehicle Consulting, is now going to be forever known as the Beige Bomber, which is just the funniest thing ever. Oh dear, but good evening, Neil. I hope you're okay, mate. Oh, and of course, let's not forget that last night also featured our friend Michael, who has got a somewhat unusual interest in feet and socks, and in particular my feet and my socks. And towards the end of last night's live stream, after about 2 weeks of nagging, I finally gave up and I got my foot out. I peeled off my sock in a seductive manner and showed the nice young man my foot in all its naked glory. And for those of you who witnessed that, I can only apologise. And extra kudos to Jimmy Quinn, who screenshotted it and put a screenshot in the Facebook group, which was just genius. The Facebook group is, of course, Boaty's World on Facebook. If you're not already a member, and I'm sure you are, do join up. It's possibly slightly above average. Oh dear. And Pingu, Pingu always makes me laugh, but this is one of his better ones. Good afternoon, oh slim-ankled, pendulous one. How are you diddling tonight? And that is a double reference to both my ankle and my scrotum, both of which were mentioned in. Do you know? Sometimes I wonder if I overshare on my live streams. I do worry about that a little bit, but I'm sure I don't. I'm sure you lot would tell me if I was giving you a little bit too much information, wouldn't you? Good evening, Pingu. Good evening, Joe Cox, Cars with JC. Good evening, Jimmy Quinn. Thank you for being with us. Skip, good evening to you. I did read your email. I just haven't replied to it yet. The camera angle is perfect, says Joe. Splendid. Thank you for that. The Gibbinator says, the Gibbinator, please tell me no more feet will be shown. I think we should be safe on that one, Neil. Hopefully he's got what he wanted, and that will be that in terms of naked footery. Oh dear. Honestly, what has my life come to when I spend an hour and a half of my precious time showing off my naked body parts to strange men for no money? He didn't even pay. He's not a channel member. He didn't send a super thanks. He didn't send a super chat. He didn't send a super sticker. I mean, hopefully at least he's subscribed, so we're getting something out of the bugger. And he certainly got something out of me. Bad Books is with us and says good evening, or good evening to you. Oh yeah, the Wi-Fi ghost. Yeah, I mean, it was just bound to happen. After everything else that's gone on tonight, then the Wi-Fi was bound to go for a burden, wasn't it? And I didn't have time because I was in a super rush. I've not had time to turn my other devices off. I'll do that now, actually. I'll just turn the Wi-Fi off on my portable electric telephones, and hopefully that will reduce the strain on the old interweb. That's that one. Do it again on this one. Wi-Fi on. Obviously, I can't do it on that one because that one is filming me, and I can't do it on my iPad because obviously that is allowing me to read your comments. Ah, there we are. Oh gosh, low tide at Glass Bay already. Replenishments will be coming along very soon. Good evening all, says Rob, who is no longer Rob Hedgehog. He's now just Rob, but we know that he is Rob Hedgehog. And Ben is here, the fantastic Ben. And Ben says, this live stream is brought to you by DFS, Decorous Footsie Showing. For all your, oh, say this one carefully, for all your podophilia needs and desires. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, apparently I am all things to all people. And, you know, I always said that I intended to create and endure a all-welcoming, all-encompassing community. And I like to think that between us, you and I, we've done exactly that. And if a perfectly polite, well-meaning pervert comes along and wants to see part of me naked, why would I not give him that alleged pleasure? And I can only apologize to the rest of you. Great tip, read the hot bread knife, says Bad Books. Hand-sliced bread toasted on the open fire is our winter treat. And a very nice treat it is. I'm going to top the old wine up. It is Thursday. And of course, Thursday is fun day, isn't it? Anything goes. You can throw anything at me at all or at each other, and we will run with it. The more fun, the better. There we are, the nice little splash of slosh. It oils the wheels, doesn't it, my lovely? Caroline is here, the lovely Caroline, and says, I have. I don't know what she have or has, and that's a bit of a non sequitur there. I'm not sure what that's referring to, but if you were wondering if Caroline has, she has, or she has, or she have, or something of that nature. Definitely right. Oh, Joe's back. Rover Joe is back. Let's all give him the customary virtual hug. The Adventures of the Beige Bomber. Yes, indeed. Oh, dear. Oh, Neil says, JC on Canvas was a personal highlight. I can't, God, to be honest, I lost the plot about 20 minutes from the end last night. I was so helpless with bloody laughter that, and I can't remember half of it. I was just trying to get through it. And Bad Book says, did last night get demonetized? Good question, Bad Books. And amazingly, no. Last night's live stream is monetized. Amazingly, there are adverts running on that live stream. Why it wasn't demonetized, I've got absolutely no idea. But there are companies paying good money to advertise their companies on that live stream, which is just hilarious. And I'm not sure which companies I'm de rigueur with at the moment. Not too long ago, then Mercedes adverts were popping up left, right, and centre on all of my stuff, which was quite pleasing because they are, quite a prestige brand, aren't they? So that was quite a nice thing to have on my vids. But you lot can probably tell me. You're wonderful. You sit through the adverts. You pay attention to me when I tell you to leave that knob alone when the adverts come on. So, but yeah, amazingly, last night's live stream monetized. God knows how. But oh dear. We forgot to choose walkout music for our contenders. It's important. I completely agree, Black Lines. Neil says, if I see any more of your appendages, I'll need that therapist again. You've only seen 2, Neil. Don't make such a fuss. You're a big, brave boy. You've seen my left foot and something else. It's the something else that required the therapy, wasn't it, Neil? Yeah, you've seen a lot worse. You go to the gym, you've been in the showers. You'll have seen all sorts of things in there. Oh, dear. Good day, all, says Ross. How are we? Not sure if we'll see Footman. I might have slightly accidentally asked him to go away on yesterday's stream. Yeah, you did, Ross. Yeah, you did. But he got his kicks anyway. Yeah, he did. I mean, I hope we do see him again. I mean, if I've given him what he wanted and shown him me naked, partially, then and then he never bothers coming again, I'm going to feel dirty and used. I mean, that's a moment of intimacy. I mean, he could at least send me a postcard after he's finished abusing himself to the. Oh dear. I see, Caroline. You met a famous person today. Well, do tell us more. Tell us which famous you ran into, and if any of the rest of you have got any I encountered a famous stories, let's hear those as well. Sounds Vintage is with us. Hello, everybody. Everybody enjoying the cool evening breeze? What cool evening breeze? It's still bloody boiling here. Working in today's heat has been no fun. Oh, tell me about it. I mean, I'd have been happy if I was working outside. I've been in a kitchen that was about 64,000 degrees Fahrenheit. God almighty. And I was getting a break. I mean, obviously the restaurant is fully air conditioned. So I was nipping out into the restaurant at every possible opportunity to get a bit of air conditioned joy. Otherwise, I'd have bloody well passed out. But Prem and Ram, they were just rammed in there, and Ram's right over the stove. Don't know how he copes. Oh, and he's not here, but I will say thank you very much to Ram. He, you all know Ram. You've seen him on the videos. You've seen his chopping skills. You've seen his gardening skills. And Ram is very, 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 very seldom able to make it onto a live stream. He does when he can, but he's not often able to. But today, rather wonderfully, he slipped me a £10 note and said, buy yourself a nice bottle of wine. So I will do exactly that. So thank you very much, Ram. Very much appreciated. A bottle of the semi-decent stuff coming up. And again, on that note, thanks to all of you who have helped me out in the wine department. So most recently, that's most recently, that's Joe, of course, isn't it? Or is it Ben? Well, it's Joe, Sonny, not Ben, Rob, wouldn't it? Joe and Rob, bless them. Did I ever show you this? I can't remember if I showed you this or not, but this is a gift from the lovely Sophie. Look at that. It's a knob warmer. It genuinely is. That is a knob warmer or cooler. It can have both effects. And that is for Melanie Winsbag, who, as you know, has got an aluminium gear knob, which in weather like this becomes the same heat as the surface of the sun. And in the middle of freezing winter, is cold enough to literally freeze your hand to the knob. So Sophie very kindly gave me a little knob cozy. Isn't that great? I can't remember if I showed it to you before, but I thought I'd show it to you now because I'm very grateful for that. Oh, Simone is here. Jolly good. Hello, Simone. Oh yeah, we welcome Sans Vintage. And Caroline met Lisa Nandy. And Skik says, Lisa Nandy, very good speaker. I've got no idea who Lisa Nandy is. Would somebody care to enlighten me? And I don't think Simone knows either, but there we are. Simone says, I met Jasper Carrot in 1998. Bob, the lovely Bob. Well, you all know because I've bored you senseless, but back in the day, Bob or JC or Jasper or whatever you want to call him, his real name is Bob Davis. Robert Norman Davis, to full name him. And obviously, he and I were pals. I sold his Ferrari for him. I sold him his son's second car, not his first car. I sold him the second one, and that was the one that he wrote the comedy sketch about, the car that I sold him. He's a nice chap, actually. He's a nice chap, but well done on that, Simone. That is definitely, well, I mean, I did say, have you met a famous like today? And you could expand that into fairly recently, but you've gone back to 1998, Simone. But there we are. Diddly-do. Where did I get to? Ross says, not sure if we class him as famous or if you know him, but my big cousin is Kevin McLeod, aka Grand Designs. And I've kind of heard of Grand Designs. I wouldn't know who Kevin McLeod is, to be honest. But I think he probably qualifies as a famous, doesn't he? I mean, you know, he's a television person, and I don't have a television. I haven't watched television for 10 years now. 10 years. So unless it's a TV star, and you know, even before that 10 years, then I was doing stuff. I was buggering off around the world and doing businesses and things. So I haven't really watched television since I was a kid. And to be fair, when I was a kid, I was training and I was racing. So I didn't really watch. I mean, I've barely watched television. I've got a couple of favorites from over the years, but I barely watched the thing. So, and obviously I don't watch films either. I was going to say that the last film I watched was in 1976 or 1970. Well, the last time I went to the cinema was in 76 or 77 to see Superman, the original Superman movie. And that was like my claim to fame, that I hadn't been to the cinema for however long it is, 40 years or 45 years. But I suddenly remembered I can't say that anymore, because I went to the cinema 2 years ago. I was treated to a trip to the cinema by somebody on this very live stream, the lovely Caroline, and it was about this time of year, maybe a little bit later. I think it was 2 years ago. And we went to this cinema in somewhere, and we watched, oh God, what was it called? Oh, what was it called? I can't remember what the film was called. It was an old film, not an old film, but not a new film, and it was like a Halloween-y type film, and it was put on specially for Halloween. I can't remember what it was called. It had a stunningly attractive woman in it. There were 3 of them, and they were witches, and 2 of them were like not very attractive witches, and the other one was a very attractive witch. The most attractive witch that I've seen since, what was her name? Samantha in Bewitched. You know, the one who used to make things happen by wrinkling her nose. Oh, she was nice, wasn't she? What? I mean, we haven't done Opwap for a while, have we? What about Witwap? What about Witwap? Yeah, let's do Witwap. That'll be a bit of Thursday fun. Witches worth a pottering. And I will open the Witwap batting with Samantha from Bewitched, and I will throw in the sexy one from the film that I watched in the cinema. And it was a really nice cinema. Bless her, Caroline got the posh seats up at the back, and you could recline them, and you could put your feet up, and you had a table for your food and drinks and everything, and they were leather. It was ever so nice. So yeah, I will open Witwap with the one from Bewitched and the one from the film that I can't remember the title of. It might come to me, and I will offer extra points to anybody who puts forward grot bags as a Witwap. Who remembers grot bags? Anyway, back to the comments. Oh, apparently Lisa Nandy is the Member of Parliament for Wigan. There we are. Gina Warmer says, yo, yeah, exactly. And apparently Lisa Nandy, the Member of Parliament for Wigan, is an amazing woman. Bad Book says, don't bloody show the warmer to Footman. God knows what he'll ask for. Good point. What? Oh, I see. Sorry, that's you, Soph. Nice to see you've still got it, Boaty. She's talking about the knob cozy. Bit dodgy about saying these things, but she's saying it as Neil, and she says, I am with Neil. So obviously Neil and Sophie are a wonderful couple, and Sophie is with Neil and is commenting on his YouTube. So for the moment, Sophie is the Gibbonator. Now there's a claim to fame. Oh, apparently Nandy is a not whap, according to Simone. And Bad Book says Lisa Nandy got demoted in a reshuffle. No idea why. Well, neither have I. Neil has got cigars and wine for the Sunday. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, I've met Neil, and I've met Sophie, and I've met Joe. And they've all met me, and they've all met Mustard, and Mustard has met them. But Joe and Neil and Sophie have not met each other. Well, Neil and Sophie have met each other. They've been quite intimate with each other, I imagine. Let's not go there. But they haven't met Joe, and Joe hasn't met them. So rather wonderfully, in a Sunday coming up, or a weekend coming up, because I think it's going to be a lengthy do, the lovely Joe is coming up from Cornwall to meet up with Neil and Sophie. And then they're all coming up to the Yard of Dreams for a day with me and Captain Mustard. So that's going to be incredible fun, especially if there are cigars and wine. Oh, hello. Speaking of Captain Mustard, he is here. He is in our midst. Captain Mustard of the Project Nigel YouTube channel, who says, hello, dumplings. Bad Book says, wow, I liked him on Grand Designs, and he's talking about that man. Oh, Kevin McLeod. That was the chap. I knew that. Did you watch the Beige Bomber? Don't get me started on the Beige Bomber. I can't cope with that. Oh, Simone. Do you listen to records or CDs, Boaty? I do, Simone. And I listen to cassettes as well. Now, it will probably come as no surprise to you that music plays a rather important part in my life because I was a musician. Well, I don't know if I count as a musician. I was, of course, for a relatively significant period of my life, I was a professional vocalist. And I also owned a musical promotions company, and I owned a rather large entertainment agency. So not unnaturally, music does play a massively important part of my life. And yeah, I do absolutely listen to CDs and not vinyl. I don't have a record deck, and my vinyl collection disappeared many house moves ago, sadly. But yeah, music is an essential part, and we should talk about our musical tastes at some point, shouldn't we? My musical tastes, I know it's a cliche, but they really are eclectic. So what do I listen to very regularly? I mean, I love opera. I adore opera. I actually enjoy country music, or quite a lot of country music. I enjoy pop, rock. In terms of what I used to sing myself, then obviously I was most well known for fronting a Neil Diamond tribute band called Hot August Night. But when I wasn't doing that, I used to sing many other things as well, all sorts. But I do, Simone, is the short answer to that. Wrong, says Caroline. You went to see Hocus Pocus. That was it. Hocus Pocus. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. The cinema was a bit different than it was in 1976 when I went before with my mother to watch Superman, which was, we got like looked at really badly because every time that Superman took off like that, my mother burst out laughing, and she had a really big cackly laugh, and everybody turned round and looked at us, which wouldn't bother me in the least now. But when I was like a 7-year-old boy, I was a bit more conscious. But yeah, that's right. We went to see Hocus Pocus, and it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. I loved the whole experience. As I say, it was one of these modern cinemas. We were up at the back in the posh leather seats. We had drinks, we had food. It was absolutely brilliant. And after that, I think we went and played pool, didn't we? That was a good day. I'd like to do that again, actually. Caroline asks Skick, do you work in the cafe with Boaty? Skick, you know perfectly well it is not a cafe. It is a fine dining Nepalese restaurant, you naughty man. And no, Caroline does not work in the Caroline's never even been to the restaurant, to be honest, let alone work there. Does Joseph Lloyd know about his new name? Asked Mustard. And no, and I don't want any of you telling him. I don't want to get in trouble. I've got a couple of meetings set up with the wonderful Joseph. And And I don't want anything to bugger those up. So hang on, that candle slightly out of place. That's better. Oh dear. One of you is bound to. I mean, you're hideously indiscreet, the lot of you. So am I, to be honest. So one of us is bound to get drunk and say, by the way, Joseph, sir, you are now the beige bomber and you're going to be taking part in a pay-per-view fight with another YouTuber. I can't remember who we ended up pairing him up with. You can't put him in with Neil. That would be a lamb to the slaughter. Mustard might be a goer. Mustard, do you fancy taking on the beige bomber? And what would your fighting name be? Any suggestions for Mustard's fighting name? Hocus Pocus, says Black Lions. Yes, thank you. Oh, and Hocus Pocus 2 is now out, says Caroline. And has Hocus Pocus 2 got the same really nice lady in it? Quite like to see that if it has, you know. Just saying. Blackline says Grotbags died. Oh God, did she? Oh, that's a shame. Oh, and this is a Joseph Lloyd's reference. A reshuffle, not a shambolic shuffle. Well, oh no, I can't. I was going to say if it's a Labour Party, then it probably was a shambolic shuffle, but I can't say that because somebody watching this live stream is a very prominent and active part of the Labour Party and would be very annoyed with me if I said anything like that. Indeed, this person once spent most of a night calling me, oh God, I can't remember the exact wording. I've got it on a Facebook post somewhere because I actually put it on Facebook that night. I think she accused me of being an arrogant Tory tosser, but I'll stand to be corrected if I got some of the wording slightly wrong. So, and obviously, you know, now that I'm a major public figure with upwards of 7 people watching my videos, then I'm going to be politically, what's the word? Oh God, I've got a mental block on the word. You know, like the BBC are. Not indiscriminate, not indiscreet. Help me out, somebody. Indeterminate? No. Oh God. The harder I think about it, the more I won't remember the word. But oh Jesus Christ. God, the BBC are famous for supposed to be being it. And everybody says that they're absolutely not. Oh, oh, this is a terrible thing about getting old. You forget words that you've known all of your life. And you forget them temporarily for about 2 minutes and 34 seconds. And then they come flooding back. I'm not even going to think about it anymore, but you know exactly what I mean. So, yeah, other political parties are available. Non-biased is the, you know, that's, oh dear. Oh, and you've got a 2-hour car ride with Joe, Neil. That'll be a treat. Now, I've had a 2-hour car, well, I've had a much longer than a 2-hour car ride with Joe. And I can tell you he's good company. You'll enjoy it. Impartial. Neil, thank you. Neil has just pinged me on Messenger to remind me that the word that I'm groping for in my middle-aged mind is impartial. Of course it is. Thank you, Neil. Thank you for saving my ass there. Oh, dear. I'm looking forward to meeting Neil and Sophie, says Joe, and another few days in the Peak District and the Yard of Dreams. I'm looking forward to it too, mate. We'll make sure you have a good time. Somebody has just done a nice thing. Who is it? Oh, it's Mike. The lovely Mike. Classic Wheels Wales. Friend of the channel. Friend of the rich and famous. influential figure in the motoring YouTube world, the lovely Mike, who I'm sure you all know. And Mike, Mike is just a legend. Mike sold me Miss Boo, my Land Rover, which came from another YouTube legend, James of Chops Garage. And Mike has very kindly donated a £5 super chat on the basis that I named this live stream I Really Hate Myself Today. And quite honestly, after last night's live stream, that would be a very appropriate title, Mike. So I will gladly take your £5. Thank you very much. And I will indeed name them. I will incorporate that into the name, into the title of tonight's live stream. I'll do anything for a £5. Bloody hell, I got my naked foot out last night and I got fuck all for that. So £5, too right. Oh dear. How are you, Mike? Hope everything's okay. Have you still got your Streetwise that you took in Part Chop, or has that been moved on? Oh, now then, I'm not. I did this on my daily diary. I'll quickly mention it here. A big thank you to everybody who takes the time and effort to send either myself or Captain Mustard links to cars for sale that you think might be of interest to us in our Mustard and Boaty do cars filming and, business thing. It's really kind of you. Or who tag us in Facebook posts. We might not always respond because we're crap at that sort of thing, but we do always check them out. And I'm not going to spoil any surprises because Mustard will be making content on this, but do keep an eye on Mustard's channel. That's Project Nigel on YouTube, of course. I'm sure you all know that. There may be a new car appearing in the yard sometime this week. And I can't say too much. Said too much already. Where did I get to? Not Sunday, says James. Saturday needs to last a long time. Okay, right, fair enough. I, said James, met Sir Tom Finney in Booths as a child at Booths Fullwood with my grandma. And Rover Joe likes listening to Slade. I actually quite like Slade. I mean, Noddy Hodler, Sir Nodbert of Hodler. What a legend. And we're back to talking about the Grimleys now, aren't we? I think Noddy Holder had a very underrated voice, and I do enjoy Slade. I think they, in and of their time in the glam rock period, I thought they were great. Oh, interesting. Sounds vintage. Boaty, the first piece of music you purchased. Right, I can tell you this. It's not indicative of what my musical taste went on to become. It's probably more indicative of the year it was and the fact that I was young and peer-group and whatnot. The first single that I ever bought was Ian Dury and the Blockheads' Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick. And the first album that I bought was, I'm not sure I can remember the title. It was Madness. And I think was it Madness 7? Was it called? But it was definitely a Madness album. So yeah, those were the first. And I welcome any music. We should talk about music a little bit more. It's been such a big part of my life. I'll tell you the most memorable music experiences. And there would have to be two. The first one would be the original Three Tenors concert at Caracalla in 1991. That was a once in a lifetime thing. And the other one would be Luciano Pavarotti in Hyde Park, the free concert that he gave in Hyde Park, where it pissed it down all through. But Big Lucci was in good voice that day. I particularly remember the aria La mia canzone al vento. He absolutely monstered that. Absolutely monstered that. And going back to Caracalla, the original three tenors, I listened to that a lot. I used to watch it a lot when I had a television player, a television set, and a DVD player, neither of which I have now. So I don't watch it anymore. Maybe I watch it on YouTube on the iPad now and then. But I have the Three Tenors concert on multiple CDs, and I have it in most of my cars. And if I don't have it as a CD in the car, if it's a car where I've got digital music only, like Barney, like Stigbürt is. Oh no, Stigbürt isn't digital only. Stigbürt's got CD as well. But if it's a digital only car, then I'll have it on my phone. And to this day, really, you need to watch it to get the full effect. But one of the most moving things ever, and I commend you to watch this if you've never seen it before. Watch the original Three Tenors concert, and watch Big Lucci singing, obviously Nessun Dorma, the final aria from Thündercock by Puccini, and in the opera, it's sung by the male lead, Calaf. But obviously, it's an incredibly well-known aria, mostly because it was used as the World Cup song in 1990, was it? Something like that. And, you know, an operatic aria made it into the charts, which led to one of the funniest sketches ever from that American Channel 4 sketch show, Absolutely, which was one of the best things ever on television. There you go, something I watched on television. But obviously, Caracalla was massive. There is a video available, probably on YouTube, the making of the Three Tenors, and that's well worth a watch. And so basically, it was designed to be a World Cup celebration, but a celebration of the return to life of Jose Carreras, who had recovered from cancer. And it was the first time that the three biggest tenors in the world of opera performed together in a concert. And I mean, it was just an immense event. I mean, Caracalla, for those who don't know, is the most incredible venue. It's a Roman amphitheater. It's open air. It's stunning. And they got to conduct it. They got Maestro Zubin Mehta, in my mind, the greatest conductor of his generation. And he had his work cut out, because not only was he conducting three tenors, but he was conducting two full orchestras. The orchestras in the Three Tenors concert were actually two orchestras. And if I thought about it, I could tell you which orchestras, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Excuse me. And so he's conducting two full orchestras. It was extraordinary. But I commend to your attention when the individual arias, before they got onto the medleys, the final individual aria was Big Lucci singing Nessun Dorma. And if you ever want to see something that, if you've got an ounce of soul, will just flood you with emotion and to this day, I can listen to it and I might not cry. If I watch it, I will cry every time, guaranteed. Because watch it, and as you're approaching the final stanza, and obviously the ultimate high C on the final Vincero, which means I shall conquer, basically, in Italian, and was actually the name of my first business, which in theory, still exists. Yeah, I know my very first business, Vincero, I shall conquer, Italian from a Latin root, Vince. But look at his eyes. Just look at his eyes. There's Fat Lucci, Big Lucci, Luciano Pavarotti. Very nice man. I met him, went to his house. That's another story. I've probably told it before. He was quite a fearful man in many ways. And just watch him sing in that aria and look at the fear and trepidation in his eyes as he's building up towards that final high note. And I totally get that. Obviously, I've never performed in anything remotely like that sort of situation. But I have performed at the NEC. I did sing at the NEC, which is, you know, fairly big thing. And even when you're a professional, you're always going to worry about your voice breaking, or missing a note, or going off a note, or going flat. And just watch him building up to it. And there's a look of incredible fear in his eyes. Incredible fear. You can see it, you can taste it, you can sense it. And then he hits the note on the final. I'm not going to try and sing it. I'm not a tenor. I'm a bass baritone. And he hit the note, and the fear is still in his eyes because he's trying to hold it. And he holds it, and he holds it, and he holds it, and it's perfect. And the steam from his breath is escaping into that chilly Caracalla air, and the audience are spellbound, and Maestro Mater is poised. The orchestra are all doing their thing, and he holds it, and he lets it go. And then suddenly that look of fear and anxiety just hung on for a second and a half as he fights to get his breath. And then suddenly it just becomes the most incredible joy. And the biggest smile in the history of the world just spreads out to embrace everybody who was there and the whole world that was watching. One of the biggest television audiences worth worldwide of anything of all time. And the arms carrying that famous handkerchief of his that he always held in one hand for luck. The arms went out, and if you can watch that without getting the biggest lump in your throat or possibly blubbing like a child, then you're a very different person to me, because I bloody can't. Anyway, that's enough of all that. Let's get back to some comments. James says, Noel Gallagher will always be my favourite musician. Oasis and Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, the Beatles, Foo Fighters, The Verve, and many others. The first 7-inch record I ever bought, says Simone, was Candy Girl by New Edition, and I still have it. Not familiar with that. James says, my first vinyls I got last month were Council Skies, the best album, which came out this year, and also Who Built the Moon 2. Never heard of them. Neil says, can we get booked into the restaurant on the Saturday night? My restaurant? Of course you can. My dear chap, that would be wonderful. Of course you can. Oh, I can see somebody getting some specialities of the house. Absolutely you can, my dear sir. And I will ensure that you get the ultimate VIP experience, obviously. That'll be fantastic. You guys come into the restaurant. I'm mixing the really cold wine with the not so cold wine. Yeah, just let me know what time, mate, and I'll make sure you've got the best table in the house, and I'll make sure everybody know, all of the front of house staff know, well, front of house and back of house. I'll make sure they all know that you are very important guests. Oh, we're getting on to Mustard's fighting name. Mighty Mustard, says Joe. Not bad. Oh, Pingu says, hi, Neil. I'm glad you like the Gibbonator tag. It was meant in a friendly way. He's embraced it, Pingu. He has embraced it. Oh, Simone says, the first LP I ever owned. And for you young people, LP stands for long player or long played or long playing. 33 RPM. Who had a 78? The first one I ever owned was Adam and the Ants, Kings of the Wild Frontier. The Podgering Paddington. I quite like that. Oh my God. Tonight, the Podgering Paddington takes on the Beige Bomber. Oh God. My mum was a ticket lady in the local Fairworld cinema in the 1970s, says Bad Books. So my brother and I spent the summer holidays watching all the films. Great times. Or the Condiment Connoisseur. Impartial. Thank you. Thank you, Bernard. I knew you would know it. Now, I don't know if any of you would agree with me. But one of the sexiest things in the world is a really posh person swearing, certainly when it's a woman. And the sexiest sound I've ever heard in my life, and this is absolutely true, was the first time that I heard Caroline say fuck. There you go. I'll just throw that in there. Arrogant Tory tosser. That's a compliment to a Tory nowadays. Oh dear. Hi, Boaty and everyone, says Frank G _05. Hi to you. Thank you for joining us. Mustard's name, the sausage squisher. Oh, dear. Pingu says, now Michael has had his free show. And Michael is, of course, the footman that I obliged in a virtual sense last night. I doubt he will be back to pay for more foot action. Record and reply. Evening, Mike. Classic Wheels Wales, says Bad Books. You jammy bugger missing last night. What happened, says Mike. Boaty took his sock off for Michael Burrows, says Bad Books. And Mike says, I'm good, Boaty, and I've sold the Streetwise. Good man. What? And then goes on to say, does Mike, what? Sock off action. I miss all the good stuff. And don't forget the Harry Podgerington. Oh, God. James is going to be 22 on Saturday, so a very happy birthday to him. Oh, right, here we are, a Noddy reference. Noddy lives in Starbridge, says Neil. My mum mends his hearing aids. Oh, God. I'd love to meet Noddy Holder. That would be a dream come true. I've run into a lot of really famous musicians and slept with one of them. Shut up. You don't need to tell them that. But I've never met Noddy Holder, and I would like to. I have a Slade cassette in my Rover 200, says Joe, and Simone has a 1972 Slade LP. Oh, hang on. Right. Yeah, you watch it, Mike. Wednesday Night Live, last night's live stream. It was a good one. Bad Book says first single was The Laughing Policeman, and first album the Jungle Book. Jungle Book. Ooh, ooh, I wanna be like you. I wanna walk like you, talk like you. Ah, classic. Mustard says impartial. Thank you. How far behind on the comments am I? What's your favourite song of the year you were born? Asked James. Mine has to be FEAR by Ian Brown. I can tell you that. My favourite song from the year that I was born was George Harrison, My Sweet Lord. that he ended up getting into a court battle about because he was accused, and the accusation was upheld, of ripping off the chiffons "He's So Fine" in the melody. He's so fine, wish he was mine, my sweet Lord. Yeah. So there you go. And I've told the story before. I'm sure that when I was living in Ukraine, in Kiev, and on my 31st birthday, when I was at a mafia nightclub and got attacked, we got back to Lena and I got back to the lady I was living with, got back to our apartment right in Independence Square in Kiev, and VH1 was on the televisual, and they were playing the song that was #1 in that year, which happened to be my birthday, and it was George Harrison, My Sweet Lord. And I took that as a sign that somebody was looking out for me, and I'd survived the experience. I mean, I was a long way away from home in a fairly dangerous place, and something very unpleasant had just happened to me, and I was in quite a lot of physical pain because I'd just been beaten up by some mafia people. And I took that as a sign of comfort and succor. And as you all know, I drank some more vodka and went and ran naked around Kiev Independence Square at about 4:15 in the morning, stark naked. And Lena, who should have dissuaded me from so doing, because I could easily have been shot by any of the armed militia who were stationed around the square, instead went down with her camera and took photographs, which are available on Facebook. Thank you very much. I struggle to listen to George Michael. Too sad, he was a great man. I struggle to listen, and Mike agrees. George Michael, legend. Well, I struggle to listen to him because I don't like his music, but each to their own. A new project in the yard, says Captain Mustard. Indeed, all the money he gave to charities and stayed anonymous. The press gave him a bad time. That's talking about George Michael. Very tired. Good night, says Simone. Good night to you. Joe likes a range of music from the 90s to the early noughties, but mainly 70s and 80s stuff. The Police, brilliant. Genesis, all right. Slade, great. Pink Floyd, Pants. Meatloaf, oh, I love a bit of meat. The Human League, to name a few. My mother-in-law, says Bad Books, was George Michael's teacher. He had a great name. Oh, yeah, his name was... Now, my ex-business partner, Mel, Mel was my partner in Grand Central Promotions and Ghost and Nightingale's agency services. Mel was seriously into George Michael. And she was telling me that when they were at school, he and Andrew Ridgely, Wham, they were at school together. And Giorgio, whatever his Greek name was, he was like the geeky one. And Andrew Ridgely was the best looking guy in the school that all the girls really fancied. And of course, it was George, as he became, who ended up being the sort of heartthrob icon. Although, obviously, he turned out to bat for the other team, much to the disappointment of ladies worldwide, I shouldn't wonder. Mike says, yes, he was Greek. Georgios Panayotou. Oh, I can't do that. I apologize. I mean, I'm sure he was vilified, as Sans Vintage points out. Tabloids were at their most evil at that point, and I was on the receiving end of it once. I was investigated by the Sun, and there's a claim to fame that you don't want. Jimmy Quinn says, I had a drink with Phil Collins, and my brother met Laurel and Hardy in London. No. Elvis, says Skick. Another great man, so very kind. He went downhill when his wife had an affair with his trainer, the cow. Oh, I didn't know about that. I'll chat with Joe and text the time, says Neil. That's regarding the restaurant booking. Wonderful. Jason, please, this time can I have some Momo? I'll remember to bring my freezer bag thingy. Yeah, absolutely, of course you can. Just give me a little bit of notice and let me know if you want Momo chutney as well. And yeah, it won't be a problem. Good choice, Boaty, says James. George has to be my favourite Beatle. Oh, he wouldn't be my favourite Beatle. I think, well, I mean, the favourite Beatle, it's got to be John, hasn't it? I mean, he was a genius. A flawed genius, but then all the best geniuses are flawed, I think. In fact, I think you need to be flawed to be a true genius. I went through a weird thing when Chinese Madam and I were courting, but when she was still in China before she came back to the UK. I was watching the video of John and Yoko in Imagine, and I found it quite moving. Never looked at it in that way before. I think, yeah, I think they had quite a special relationship, didn't they? Quite a special connection. But Got My Mind Set on You is an amazing song, and it is. I had the 12-inch of that, and When We Was Fab. Jimmy Quinn says, "My Sweet Lord was the first 45 I bought." Oh, Honey, Bobby Goldsboro was #1 on my birthday, says Mike. And honey, I miss you. Great number, actually. Oh, Let It Be was an amazing song. I agree, James. Momo on Monday, says Mustard. I'm not sure what that's a relation to. Oh, what? This coming Monday? Are we doing a road trip? Have we got an acquisition adventure? Hopefully, Mustard and I are going to be going to the seaside on Monday. The proper seaside, the Welsh seaside, or possibly Norwich. Hopefully, one of the two. We wouldn't have time for Momo, mate. That would mean stopping and setting up the kitchen and whatnot. We could do Momo at the yard, absolutely. But if it's a road trip, then it's going to be the food flask again, and it's going to be some engine block warming up, I think. Oh, well, my guitar gently, yeah. Well, my guitar gently weeps. Yeah, that was absolutely great. I'm a big Neil Young / Crazy Horse fan, says Ross. And I don't like John as much as George or Paul because John didn't want the best Beatles songs to be made. Like While My Guitar Gently Weeps and Let It Be. Let It Be is just a beautiful song. And I think that's going to be about it for tonight, darlings. We've gone past the midnight mark. Some of you are already tired and have gone to bed. I would like to get some supper on the go and crack on with things. And gosh, I'm not going to do this. Is going to be the last time I see you until Monday. Things I'm planning to do at least one live at lunchtime, short one, but planning to do it nonetheless. So, I like a bit of Johnny Cash too. I like a bit of Johnny Cash. Now, if I was when I was a singist, then if I was doing a really low key performance somewhere, just in a club or a small town theatre or something like that, and I wasn't doing the Diamond tribute, or Mel and I, my business partner, Mel was also a vocalist, and we also performed as a cabaret duo, Diamond and Pearls, we were called. But if I wasn't doing either of those, then I would throw in some country stuff, and I would throw in some weird stuff for a laugh. And one of them was a Johnny Cash. I used to do A Boy Named Sue for a bit of fun. I used to like singing country songs. I used to like singing King of the Road. I had my own interpretation of that. I used to love singing Kenny Rogers stuff. I used to sing Rover, Don't Take Your Love to Town. I used to sing The Gambler. Oh God, I used to do Daddy Sang Bass sometimes. Daddy sang bass, Mama sang tenor. I used to love singing the country. I couldn't do it. Most of the gigs that I did were diamond gigs or cabaret gigs, and I couldn't do that sort of thing. But when I could, I did. And the other stuff I used to love to sing was Chris Isaak. I'm a huge fan of Chris Isaak, and I think, and a lot of other people think, that the song I sang better than any other song, the cover that I did better than anything else, wasn't Neil Diamond at all. And I was good at Neil Diamond. But a lot of people think the best cover I did was Wicked Game, Chris Isaak. And I would actually agree. When I was at my peak, when my voice was at its peak, I reckon that was about my dad, bless him. He was proud of me for what I did on the bike, and he was proud of it. He wasn't very good at being proud of me, although he just wasn't very good at expressing it. And when I started singing, he was, oh God, he can't possibly be doing that. And he kind of got into it, and he did come and see me once, possibly no, I think it was just once. And he heard me do Wicked Game live. And this is true. And thank God I know about this, because he was in the local supermarket, which would be, Cheeseburger's not here, he won't get the reference, but it would be in Matchborough Centre. And he was in the supermarket and they were playing Chris Isaak Wicked Game. And he said my mum was there to hear it. He would never have told me this, never in a million years. He wasn't that sort of man. But my mum was there and heard him say it and told me. And they were playing Wicked Game, Chris Isaak. And my dad was paying for whatever he bought. And he said, I know this song. My son is a singer and he sings this. And he listened a bit more. He said, my son does it a lot better. And that is probably a pretty good note on which to end tonight. Thank you so much for your company tonight. Thank you for joining me throughout the week. Thank you all for all of your support, watching the videos, being channel members, sending super duper thingies, and just being you and being generally wonderful. I won't see you tomorrow in person. There will be a daily diary and there will be a mustard and Boaty do lunch. But I will probably see you in person either Saturday or Sunday for a live at lunchtime. And I will definitely see you in person on Monday. And for those who are wondering when I'm finally going to get this Jaguar video out, it should be on Saturday. I want to do a proper editing job, and that means having time. So I'll have a bit more time tomorrow, because tomorrow night, because obviously no live stream. And then I'm going to try and do a proper edit job on the Jag vid over Friday night and Saturday during the day, and hopefully I'll get it out in the 1919 slot on Saturday, and if not, it will definitely go out on Sunday. So there we are. Pull your socks up, says Bad Bucks. And thank you again for last night's live stream, which was just one of my favorite things of all time. So have a safe and peaceful night. Take great care of yourselves. Have the best day that you can. The chance would have it, the internet went off at exactly that moment. There you go. Obviously meant to be. Good night, my loves. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.